All right, Kevin back with you for another episode of the $1 Million Relationships podcast. And today I'm here with Noah Rosenfarb. Noah, welcome. So awesome to have you on the show, man.
So awesome to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I want to this is kind of a unique situation because you and I met because a mutual friend of ours, Brad Spencer, I don't even remember what the post on Facebook was now, but he had tagged you in it and said, Kev, you and Noah should definitely connect and just get to know each other a little bit. And so we did do that, and we made time to connect, and through that process we were like, you know what, let's do an interview together for the podcast and stuff. And so here we are, and I just think that is I love meeting new people through that kind of a medium that is a mutual friend that we both already know, because it makes, like, for the first time we connected, Noah, it was like we'd already just known each other for a long time because we just had this mutual friend in Brad and stuff. And what a testament to the power of relationships, which of course is what this podcast is all about. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of start. I just want to turn it over to you so that we can set a little bit of context and give the listeners a really good idea about who you are and what you're all about. So let's talk a little bit about, what you do. You do something very unique, and you serve a very specific kind of clientele and stuff. And so let's get into that a little bit and talk about what you do, how you serve them, what inspires you most about the work you do, and maybe even like some of the backstory about how you got into doing this kind of thing.
Awesome. Well, I'm happy to answer all those questions. Maybe I'll answer them one at a time. My name's Noah Rosenfarb. I'm a third generation CPA. And what I do now is I help successful entrepreneurs pay less taxes. I don't actually prepare their tax returns. I just help them develop what their tax strategy is going to be. And I have a team of accountants, lawyers, and financial planners that I've trained in how to do this work. So I don't personally do any of the work myself anymore, but I've got a wonderful team that's distributed virtually around the US, Puerto Rico, and the Philippines.
Okay, very cool. So how did you happen to get into doing this kind of work, Noah?
It was a little bit of happenstance. So I had sold my last operating business in 2014 and was essentially retired from operating a company. I was investing in businesses, investing in real estate. And one of the things that I decided to do was share my experience of reducing my own tax bill and creating my own tax structure with my friends in EO, the Entrepreneurs Organization, which is a member-led group of about 18,000 entrepreneurs around the world. And so I started just sharing what I had done for myself and my family. And it kind of became like a viral thing where all these people wanted me to speak to their chapters and their groups. And the good thing that came out of it, I started sharing that experience because it made me feel good. But then what happened was all these people were coming up to me asking for help.
Yeah.
And I kind of felt bad, but I would say, like, look, I'm not really looking for a job right now, So I'm sorry, there's really no way I could help you, but I'm happy to just chat for an hour, or I'm happy to have lunch with you. But I didn't have an infrastructure. And after a number of years of kind of saying that, I realized with my wife that I was doing a bunch of philanthropy work, and it wasn't as rewarding as I thought building a business to serve these entrepreneurs would be. And so I kind of shifted my focus from giving more of my time to causes that we care about to giving more of my time to helping these entrepreneurs create what I call a rich beyond money lifestyle.
I love that. And man, that's really cool when stuff happens organically like that, where it oh, you know what, maybe there's something here. And it took you a little bit of time to come around to I suppose, warm up to the idea of actually helping entrepreneurs. But you eventually did get to this point where it's like, you know what, this makes sense, and I do want to do this. So I'm gonna do the work necessary. I'm gonna build a team so that we can start serving these entrepreneurs and really helping them with this and stuff. And
Yeah, it's
man,
been very rewarding.
yeah, that's really powerful. That's really powerful. So, What give me an example. We don't have to name names here or anything, but give an example. I want to like set a little context on this. What's an example of a result, or even two or more if you want, a result that you have helped a client achieve that you were just incredibly proud of?
So we had a client approach us, and he had owned a significant minority interest in his business along with three other partners. And he was married and getting married. He was, had a couple of kids with his wife to be. They didn't have a prenuptial agreement. He didn't really have a clear financial strategy. He wasn't sure exactly how to put all the pieces together, but he knew he wanted to change his partnership dynamic, create liquidity from the business that he had grown, get married, and yet this prenuptial agreement was kind of in the way. And so within really just two phone calls, I was able to help him and his now wife resolve their prenuptial agreement terms. We then showed him a strategy where he was able to put his business into a certain tax structure where the outcome for him was when he sold part of his interest, he didn't pay any capital gains tax. Now he has the proceeds from the sale in this tax structure where he pays no tax on his interest, dividends, or capital gains. He takes money out tax free. And in addition, the interest that he still owns in the company that he had co-founded,
Mhm.
when that business interest generates dividends to him and pass through income distributions, he doesn't have to pay any tax on it. And eventually, when that rest of the business is sold, he won't pay any tax on that either. And
Wow.
so that's really changed the economic outlook for his family. He was able to buy a bigger house and a vacation home and spend time traveling with his wife and young kids. And it's really given him the lifestyle that he wanted, and also given him an incredibly tax efficient way to run his business and his income.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. That's really phenomenal. I bet right now there's already some people listening to this going, okay, this guy Noah's got my attention now. And and so we'll make sure before we're done, we'll let people know how to get in touch with Noah if they or somebody on your team or what have you, if some of the stuff that you're sharing is resonating with them and they want to know more. And so, okay, so now that we've got, well, actually, you know what? I want to ask one more question. What inspires you most, Noah, about doing the work that you do and serving the entrepreneurs that you serve?
So I've always felt that entrepreneurs were heroes, and a lot of times people look at, the police officers and the firefighters as kind of America's heroes. But I grew up in a family really celebrating the entrepreneur because they're the ones that create the jobs and they're the ones that innovate. And if we didn't have entrepreneurs, we really wouldn't have much of anything.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that I realized, again, kind of this transition from philanthropy to business for me was, if I can help these entrepreneurs create more income for themselves, I know that they're going to use it to innovate in their business, buy more equipment, hire more people, continue to scale their companies. And they're going to have an impact on all of these families, not just the ones they employ,
Yeah.
but the customers they serve, the vendors that they work with. And so I thought I could really multiply my impact by working with the people that I've always loved to be around, these innovators that are creating new things in our economy, and supporting them. And then I would say, in combination with that, maybe I'm a little anti-government in a way. I believe that the entrepreneur is going to do better with the money than the government will. And so I've always found that giving the capital to the creators is going to be better than giving the capital to a bureaucracy.
Yeah. Amen. Amen. Yeah. Yeah, creators, they're really good at investing resources into, things that produce results for sure. And so, yeah, I love that. Well, okay, so now that we've got some context, now I'm going to shift gears just a little bit, and I am going to reiterate the question for or the benefit of our listeners. So, Noah, have you ever been introduced to a person or persons who completely changed the course of your life or your business, so much so that much of what you have today would not be possible if not for this person or persons. And I'm just really excited to hear your story and your experience around this topic of relationships.
For me, there's no question that meeting my wife was that one,
Okay.
changing moment. And we happened to meet when we were teenagers, the beginning of our sophomore year of college. We were introduced by a mutual friend, someone that I lived on the floor with him in our dorm, and he had gone to high school with my now wife, Amanda, and he
Okay.
introduced us in statistics class. And right away, we went on our first date, and it's been no one else ever since. Coming up on 30 years, we just celebrated our
Wow.
30th Valentine's Day together. And
Congratulations.
so, what I would say is that relationship. Many people will share that the partner they choose to spend their life with is the most important decision they make. I would say for me, it's like clear and away the most important and impactful decision I made. Amanda is a yin to my yang, or whichever way it goes. We're kind of the opposites attract couple. And while I was very focused on money and business, she really helped me develop a more holistic approach to life, and what I now call our rich beyond money philosophy, where there came a time in our lives where we had to make decisions about pursuing the growth of my income versus pursuing more time at home. And she kind of coached me through why it was so important to be more balanced in our life. And really, for a number of years now, I've had what I think is a great balance. I mentioned kind of retiring over a decade ago for the first time. And,
Mhm.
I was just kind of leaving my 30s, entering my 40s. And, I had the financial capability of not having to work again. And that was, a combination of my efforts and Amanda's willingness to support me in my early career. And then as we became parents together, shifting the focus and learning how to delegate and elevate so that I could accomplish my goals through other people.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. So if you look back at now this 30-year relationship that you and Amanda have had, and I'm sure you can come up with tons of examples for the question that I'll ask you, but just one that comes top of mind for you. What is an example where you personally made a really substantial impact, and maybe it even surprised you a little bit in the moment that, like, wow, that is way cool that we just did that. And you also know, hands down, that would have never happened if not for your relationship with Amanda.
It's a great question. And I've got to tie it to my relationship with Amanda. But I would obviously say parenting is, the first thing that comes to mind, clearly, because we have two kids. They're 18 and 14. One is headed off to college next year, and the other one has agreed to travel around the world with Amanda and me, and become homeschooled or online schooled for
Okay.
her freshman year of high school. And I would say the approach to parenting, the actual like division of labor, all of that stuff and the impact that it's had on our children, I think has made me a better father, has made her a better mother, and has made our kids, more likely to succeed in their life.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll tell you, my wife, Lisa, and I, we have 7 kids, and I could totally relate to that whole division of labor thing right there. And it has been such an experience over the years. And now, man, currently we've got 6 grandkids, and we'll be having more grandkids too and stuff. And it is being a parent and being a grandparent is such an amazing and rewarding thing. And it's also can be very challenging at times for sure too,
No doubt about that. I always say the toughest part of raising kids for me is that as somebody who runs their business with a dashboard, and KPIs, and key
Uh-huh.
performance indicators, I don't have that with my kids. Yes, I have their grades in school. Yes, I have the tenure of their relationship that they maintain with their friend groups. But I don't really have any data to know whether or not they're going to be productive and
Yeah,
independent adults until the time comes.
that's
And
right. That's
and so
right.
that's been the hardest challenge.
Yeah, for sure. You're right. And and until they just get out there and start spreading their wings. We've got four older kids who are, married out of the home on their own. And all four of them are doing really well in life. And so, it's a good indicator that the other three are probably going to be okay too. I'm hoping. I mean, I want the best for them for sure. That's what that's what every parent wants is that we want the best for our kids.
No
And
doubt about it.
but you're right, we just never know what's going to happen until they just start getting out there and just start experiencing life on their own too and stuff. And there's always challenges with that. There's ebbs and flows and highs and lows and joy and sorrow and we just get to experience all of that with them. And I wouldn't trade any of it for anything. And well, for anybody that's listening to this, Noah, I'm sure there's some folks listening to this going, man, Kev, I really like Noah. I appreciate him. I appreciate the way he shows up, and he even shared a couple of things that have me thinking that, like, man, maybe it might be worthwhile talking with him or with somebody on his team and stuff. What's the best way for people to reach out to you? Any websites, any resources we can? I mean, I'm sure the obvious
Yeah,
right behind you there, but we'll make sure we include that with our show notes and stuff.
I'll preface it by saying that we help entrepreneurs, and typically we're helping entrepreneurs that are succeeding at a level where they're generating $1 million or more of income,
Okay.
personal net income.
Okay.
And of course, there are resources and tools we have to help people that are below that, but we don't really, collaboratively work with them as clients. So if
Okay.
you're under that $1 million of income, what I'd encourage you to do is follow me on social media, whatever the platform of your choice is, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. And if you're over that income and you want to focus on your tax situation, you could visit talkabouttax.com, and that'll give you access to get on a call with the team and understand how we might be able to help you. Thankfully, last year, we took a look at all the clients we served. A typical client saved $265,000 in taxes in just 2024 alone.
Wow.
We had our biggest saver last year saved 15 million in taxes. So we could get the outcomes at the high end, as well as a family that's making $1 million a year in California might be paying 400 grand in taxes. We might be able to chop that in half and make a real big impact on the future they could create for their family and how they could invest in their company and hopefully the lifestyle that ultimately they're desiring to live.
Very good. Very good. Well, that's some good results that I'm thinking might have some people thinking like I would want to talk about getting some results like that. And so, well, Adam, or Noah, I don't know why I called you Adam. Noah, I want to thank you so much for just taking the time to have this conversation today and just share from your heart. And my goal is always really simple with this is I just want to use these conversations to inspire other entrepreneurs, founders, and CEOs to just place a more intentional focus on creating more real, meaningful, rewarding, and profitable relationships in their own lives. And with your help today, we definitely achieved that. So thank you very much. Any last thing you feel led to share before we call it a wrap?
I'd just echo your sentiment around relationships and share that, throughout my career, I've developed a large network. And what's happened as, I've transitioned from kind of the hard worker, long hours, put in my, effort to someone that's maybe in a different position where now I'm kind of more of the orchestra conductor, leading a team. Where I get the most value is through my network, because they say that, your network is your net worth. And
Amen.
I find that to be true so much more now than I did when I was younger. And I'm one phone call away from a solution to every problem I have. And for all the listeners out there that, are thinking about the relationships that they're looking to build, I'd encourage you to just, broaden your network,
Yeah.
deepen your relationships, find ways that you could add value to others. And, I'm a big believer in karma. So I know that whatever I put out in the world is going to come back to me. And so I just try and put out only good things and be helpful and live by the golden rule.
Yeah. Amen. Amen. Well, Noah, once again, thank you so much for taking the time to have this conversation. I really appreciate you, man.
Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate you having me.